Welcome back to the Honda Integra Type R, and welcome to the episode that should have been.
I bought the cheapest Integra Type R in the UK, which turned out to be beyond saving. So I had to strip the car for parts and hope to reshell it, which would have been the easiest option. I even found a shell to rebuild my parts onto, but it was more work than I imagined, and things went from bad to worse when I rolled the car, almost wrecking it for good.
I've wrecked the car.
At the end of the last episode, I corrected my mistake with the spit and allowed me to get the car where we needed it. And now in this episode, Michelle's chipping in to get the car ready for spring, but we can't afford any more mistakes.
Right, so you guys have just seen last episode's disaster. This episode, we're going to try and achieve what was supposed to happen in last episode. So as you can see, we have the spit. Just out of anxiety, I've got some tyres underneath it, and we have a strap here just in case there's any accidents. That's loose. I kind of have full trust in the jig now. Physics wasn't my friend in the last episode and 50-50 weight distribution, but also I set up the jig wrong. Completely my fault, so I take full responsibility. But it's relatable content from a relatable channel. Now, no messing today. Let's just get in. So you guys have seen the prep in this area back to bare metal. What I originally wanted to do was make the wheel cribs so that I could get in the underside, which is hard because of the ramp to get into the sill. So now that we've got it on the spit, I can get a mask on, get my earphones in, and we can just get all this back to bare metal. So we're looking to achieve all of this all around here and the underside here, and we'll leave the engine bay for itself because there's going to be two different finishes there. So this will also need some attention. That's not, I think they've tried to prise that open there to try and show the spot welds. That should be flattened down. So we've got some attention on this inner ring structure here that we need to do. And the whole reason why I tipped it upside down was for this hole here. So we've got that, and I think there's maybe a tiny one on the other side as well, symmetrical. That's the whole reason I wanted the floor upside down. But so let's just get doing it. Let's strip. We'll put the belt hamper on. And then in this episode we're going to epoxy prime, and then we'll talk about finishes that again I've maybe made another mistake about, but we'll get there. So let's just start stripping everything off. Michelle's up, let's go Michelle! Kenny?
Put my podcast on.
Your podcast on? What podcast? Better not be Otto Alex.
Murder.
Murder?
Yeah.
Oh no, murder podcast with a grinder in her hand. No good mix. But...
Listen, abducted while baking at home.
Abducted by baking at home.
The murder of 20-year-old...
The murder of 20-year-old...
Sierra Joachim.
Sierra something. While buffing an Integra DC2 Type R. Let's go, let's double team, let's get through this as quick as possible. I've lost a few days on the car, as we've seen in the last episode, with all the shenanigans, so it's really good to have Michelle just chipping in any way possible. She'll not be the quickest, she'll not be the best, but if she's taking a bit off and then I can come up behind and tidy, she's at least taking the bulk off for me, and we can get this pushed over the line. Still aiming for the deadline for the Cars and Coffee meet in a few weeks, so we just need to keep pushing, let's go.
Once we've wire wheeled the floor pan, I'm using the blaster to clean any little pitted areas that might have surface rust. One side finish, I can now rotate the spit and get access to the other inner wing section.
Right guys, Michelle's back on the tools. A wee update Michelle, what's been happening?
So you have been welding, so you've completed a wee patch at that side and you're doing a wee patch at this side here. While you've been doing that, I've been putting that, what's it called again?
Rust inhibitor.
That rust inhibitor on. So I've done the bottom, we'll flip the car, I've done this part here and left you this wee space. Final wee bits that we'd missed in the tunnel, so I'm buffing them off, I'll clean it and then we'll get the tunnel with its first coat on as well.
Just a wee note to mention, so this is my repair here. Try and get it to focus. It's like Michelle said, they were symmetrical. I had a little tiny, it was just really a pinhole, but there was a little bit of suspected metal, so I've just chopped it out and done the same on the other side. Someone's already been here for a little previous repair, and there was a little previous repair on the back as well. So it's good to know that someone's kind of been keeping on top of it, and that's maybe why it didn't get to the extent that the other shell did. I've got some continuation to do in these strut towers to strip back to bare metal, and I've decided we're just going to take everything back to bare metal, so I will strip everything out there while Michelle's working here, and that means we can prime the whole thing, and then I'll do like a gloss finish on the inside. But that's what's happening right now. We'll just keep going and plodding away. I've made a checklist for the Integra, so we need to kind of work our way through it. I think that's the best way. It means Michelle can pick something off the list while I'm doing something else. Keeps both of us busy on the project because we've lost a few days due to the spit incident, and we really want to make up time and make that Cars and Coffee meet in March. So it's just full steam ahead, so let's just keep going.
Blasting the engine bay while I'm here will put an end to a very messy period in this restoration.
I don't know where we're at right now because I don't want to record just wire wheeling for 40 minutes. That's not an episode. So I kind of show you a little bit and then I'll show you the end result. So whilst Michelle's kind of been doing that stuff for me, I've been doing some of the fabricating. Now if you look behind me, I've kind of cut a corner here because I wanted to use this one as a dummy run, and then Michelle recorded me doing the whole other side to show you guys. But so I want to show it just now. The inner wing was ruined, so I have taken the inner wing off, and then the panel that actually goes underneath it, car away past, is this one here, and it was rotten as well. So the two of them have to be welded together, and they're spot welded on. You can see all the kind of rivets here, and this was the section here that was completely ruined, but when you look at it inside outside, it is rotten. What I've done is make up, I always forget how this goes. That way, that way, that way, it goes there, it goes that way. I've been dissecting it and then tracing each part and then welding it to mock up, so I've had to make a full new inner wing and repair just the inner wing, so I'm going to show you that just now. So I've done a lot of spot weld drilling there. I'll show you guys more in depth on the other side, but I'm not proud, but it's came out not too bad I think, so I want to show you guys. This is my inner section that I've made up. So I traced the outline of this one and kind of rolled it over and traced a line, and that gave me a fold. And when we picked up the jig, I got a metal folder from Robert as well, so I put this fold in here, and then I mocked it up and welded these two kind of pieces here. This is a little bit more to be desired, and I don't know what I've done there, but I think I've actually made this edge here, this flange, too big anyway, so it might get chopped off. Now this is going to go in there like that, and spot weld along in there, and there's some spot welds here and spot welds there and kind of stuff, and then the inner wing goes over the top. Now this was my inner wing here that I've taken off, and the problem was this edge here was completely rotten, and it was this edge on the both panels where the two of them meet together that was completely gone. And someone's previously, you guys will have seen before, had a screwdriver or whatever and tried to take it off to repair it, and it's been a bit of a mess. And this had a repair patch in it already, and it wasn't very good, to be honest. That's it there. So that was their repair patch there. So I just decided to chop it out. Again, not in the best condition, and I've made a a repair patch with a new lip. So I've done that inside, outside, and these two now will go, they'll meet together there, and I've got some holes to put in and they'll be spot welded together. So the shape doesn't look too bad, to be honest. A little bit of tweaking to happen, obviously, but that'll go there, that'll go there, and these will be welded together. You can see there I've overdone this lip, so I'm not sure how I'm going to do it yet, but I might just trim it and weld these together or whatever happens, but that's the way it's kind of going to go, and this will be repaired, and then I'll put some primer on this side and then we'll tackle the other side, and I'll show you every single step along the way on that side. So let's get into that. And then before I weld these on, this is what I mean with someone's had a screwdriver in before and they've kind of took bits out this here. So I'm actually going to repair that. So I'm going to chop a little bit here and then repair in behind and then put a new bit on the back or whatever. I need to tidy this up first and then weld everything back together. But I'll show you guys an in-depth on the other side. So step by step, let's go.
First job I did was mark the centre of each spot weld with a Sharpie, just to highlight where I need to drill. Next I use a small drill bit to make guides for the spot weld cutter similar to a centre punch. I'm using a small cutter bit from Amazon which cuts around the centre of the spot weld, leaving the panel below untouched. It gives me a small pre-made hole I can use later to plug weld the wings back on. Then the paddle should come free without too much force. The passenger inner side isn't as bad as the driver's side, so I'm repairing the lip in position. First I cut the old lip off, trace around it onto a new sheet metal, cut it and tack weld it in place. Once I'm happy I can stitch it all up and then dress it back with a flap disc. Now the attention is on the outer part of the inner wing. I've used an old air filter box to make a template piece I weld on to repair the panel. I use clamps during the whole process to keep the panel in original shape as possible. Then I make a new lip in the same fashion I did for the inner wing piece before. I've repaired the small section in the inner wheel arch and gave everything a coat of weld through primer to protect it. Next I plug weld the first side back on and trimmed that piece down I mentioned earlier. Lastly I finished the passenger side, again using the clamps to hold everything in its original place. Michelle's finished giving the underside 2 coats of Hydrate 80, so now I can spray the whole underside with an epoxy primer.
Right, so the epoxy primer is now on the shell. It's the following day. I've just left it overnight because it was a late finish last night. So next is going to be seam sealer and then the stone chip on top of that. And just first though, give you a little look at the epoxy primer. Overall, I'm quite happy with the outcome. So we have sprayed it with the epoxy primer. Now, if you remember, we had the 2 coats of the Hydrate 80 on first. So it's had 2 coats of this and then a generous coat of epoxy primer. I was struggling with the gun, to be honest. So I did have paint guns that I bought when I bought loads of paint equipment to do the classic Mini, which has been abandoned. and people used them and then they all got ruined, and I don't actually know what guns are mine anymore and what guns were just lying at the workshop where the car was. So I've got these cheap guns. This one's split and cracked, so it was no good. This one, they left the stuff in it and it's clogged the whole gun, so I actually had to remove that from the pot, so it was dead. Then this gun, you can see, has been sprayed with yellow. I don't know if this one's even mine, and then it was never cleaned, so nope. And it's just they're no like fancy guns, but I spent a bit of money on equipment and it all got ruined. I don't even want to talk about it, to be honest, but I managed to piece together one gun which isn't the right tip for my airline, and I don't have a way to alter it. I have to order fittings because I'm running Euro fittings on my airline, so it kept popping out. I did have the regulator and the moisture catcher on it, and I was struggling with adjustment on the gun. I was trying to adjust my fan pattern. That's not one fan, by the way, that's one there and then one there. It makes it look like one big one. I was trying to adjust it, but then it was becoming an issue. The airline was blowing off, so I really just decided I can make do, just try and manage the distance between myself and the substrate that I'm painting, and I gave it a generous covering. I really maybe should have done a kind of light coat and then built another coat on top, but one, I've underbought on the paint, only had 1 litre, and then the hardener and the thinner, so that made up about 1.3 litre in total. So I was had to watch what I was doing with the paint that I had, but also it's had the 2 coats underneath and a good generous coat of epoxy primer, and then it's going to get 2 coats or 3 coats of stone chip because I've got plenty of that. So I'm quite happy with the coverage. There is a couple of bits that are just a wee bit light that was caused by myself. That was more to do with spraying technique than actual anything else. But most of the car has got a very generous covering and it's going to do its job, so I'm quite chuffed with that. Next we're going to turn to this Raptor. I was advised not to use Raptor. I was advised to use just the Stone Guard, is it the U-Pol stuff, because Raptor's a lot harder. It might not have the flexibility if there's any twisting in the chassis. But it's a bed liner paint, but if you paint it on the bed liner, the bed liner's still technically part of the chassis and it's going to have movement, so I'm not sure. But I had already bought this, and so I'm just going to use it because funds are tight, because I need to rebuild the whole engine. So we're going to use a Raptor, and I don't want the car to be black, so I've got some championship white paint that I'm going to use to tint this Raptor. And this one's a lot easier because this comes with a gun, so I can actually make it up. So I'll just show you guys briefly. It comes with a gun, although that's not the fitting we need either. No, but it comes with a gun and a little cup, some hardener and 4 bottles, and basically all we do is add the hardener to the bottle. Thought that was frozen. Add the hardener to the bottle, tint it with about 10% or whatever it's asking, give it a good shake, and then spray direct through this gun. So, but I'm also going to struggle with the fitting. I don't have a female Euro. We'll just need to make do. Let's go. Michelle's back doing her favourite task, seam sealing. No masking tape this time, Michelle. You got brave.
I got lazy.
You got lazy.
Such a big surface.
It's not that big. So we're just seam sealing. What we're doing is I'm pretty much laying the sealant on, and Michelle's coming behind me to brush so that we get through it quicker. We've got this side to do it, and then I'm going to rotate it and do the opposite side so that we're not down on our knees, and then we can get the stone chip. I've sorted the paint gun scenario, which I think will work. Michelle, yep. You must be getting pretty good at this now.
I've been Not practicing, but I've been cheating.
How are you cheating?
I've been watching Chris and Mickey Slicks.
How dare you! How dare you've been watching another YouTuber?
If Chris Slicks can do it, then I can do it.
Is this how Chris Slicks does it?
No, Mickey makes him mask up.
Does he?
Uh-huh.
Alright, well. You heard it there first. Michelle has betrayed the channel. So this will be the last you see of Michelle. Does Mickey let Chris spray?
Oh, does he? I don't know. He lets him weld.
I weld? No, you can't weld yet.
Oh.
You're supposed to get a shot and then you forgot it. So I'll let you spray then, since Mickey lets Chris. It's Chris's channel. Who said Mickey's the boss?
Mickey's the boss.
He's
Mickey
the
knows
boss.
what he's doing.
So Michelle will be spraying later once she's finished the seam sealer.
Seam sealer now finished, I can start mixing the Raptor. The small cup included in the kit is for measuring the hardener, and I'm tinting it with 10% Championship White, which is the original colour of the car. Give it a vigorous shake for a few minutes and then we can start applying it to the floor pan. I'm focusing on the tight areas first so I don't get any runs when spraying around the area. We won't get full coverage with this first coat, especially using white, so it's a thin even coat being applied. Some of the return edges on the opposite side will be easier to reach from this side, and it will help when I turn the spit later to do the opposite wheel arch. Now Michelle can start applying the second coat.
In between.
Yeah.
Aye. You'll get a... Right, that's arcing. You never moved your body, you only moved your arm. You need to stay this way. Don't arc. Let go, then down, and then go again. 50% overlap.
You can see here the difference between the first coat and the second coat building up the full colour. A few cans later, and I hope that's good enough that we can move on with the project.
There we have it. We have painted the underside of the Integra DC2. There is a couple of questions I want to ask you guys, because this is kind of a first for me. I have used Raptor a couple of times. I used it on the Transit Camper project, but I rolled it, and I actually quite liked rolling it because I could roll it, wait until it was right tacky, and then put another coat on, and I built it up thick, really thick, and I really liked it. This has been the spraying. Now I did use it before on my Integra DC5 way back when. Before I really learned cars properly, I will say, I think it was in my I'm still developing. Early child, I don't know, what's that, like premature stage, I don't know. But anyway, so we're getting a bit more experience and we're trying to rebuild these cars, as you guys seen, so I'm still learning a lot. Now, I thought my paint got an issue from the primer, was resolved with a better fitting, but it just kept blowing off. You guys will have seen that. So to answer a question, if I was doing this again, make sure you've 100% got everything sitting in front of you, because holding the airline on and it kept blowing off, it's maybe affected some of the results, I'm not going to lie, but I'm quite happy with it, but it just, a lot of interruptions, so definitely would do that. Now, we're getting better in the channel, this is really going to be a test subject for a car that's coming, you guys will see later in the year, but I'm pretty pleased with it. We ended up using 6 bottles as well. I had 2 bottles spare up in my garage at home, which we had to bring down, or I wouldn't have lasted, to be honest, we would have fell short. Now on coating number 1, I just wanted to get like a light coat on there, and then wait until it started going off and getting really, really sticky, and then you can apply the second coat. So when I've done that, so it's just shy, it's like still sticky, it's not dry, and then I put the second coat on, sorry. And then on the second coat is when I really try to build up a bit of thickness and let the colour build up, because white, as we all know, isn't the best coverage colour, and it's going over the top of grey. So the first one you could still see a lot of grey flashing through it, and then on the second one I was really trying to build it up. I would have liked to go again and just, I would have put 10 coats on it, to be honest. I don't know, what do you guys think? I mean that's ever so slightly light there, but I don't have no stuff left. I might touch up a few places, order more and touch up a few places before we finalise like everything on. Or what should I do next? Should we I don't know, should you lacquer this to try and protect it? But stone chip is supposed to be the I don't know. If those with more experience has done loads of these, it would be nice to know how you guys do it, so that when we learn in the future we can get better all the time. So there's a couple of points that I want to make. Point number 1 is, what do you guys think of the colour with my tinting? Does it look like championship white? I think it does, but it also looks a shade, what's that colour? Creamy. But when you see the two of them through the kind of plastic there, they're not a million miles away, I don't think. But the Raptor itself is a creamy colour, and then I don't know if the two of them's kind of mixed, but it says don't dilute it more than 10%, so I've really went on the 10%, to be honest. So the second question is, I've used Raptor, which is a bed liner. It's not really a stone chip or an underseal, but I know a lot of people are using it for that. That's how I discovered it, basically. But when I bought the spit off of Robert, he showed me the Paul, was it Gravity stuff, and he said that's got more flex in it. And you think of a chassis, there's going to be a little bit of flex in that when you're driving, and if the Raptor is such a tough coat, could it be susceptible to cracking? I don't know, because I've not got enough experience, but I would like you guys to chip in with that in the comment section below. We're nearly done. Well, we're not nearly done. I would love this phase to be over now, to be honest, because there's been a lot of hard work to make this. However long this episode is, it's been days and days and days. The welding, the primer, the underseal, it's been a bit involved. The reconstruction of the inner wings, which look pretty good now when you see everything covered up. Don't go too close, Michelle. But I'm enjoying it, to be honest. I'm really enjoying it. Now, you might be wondering about the engine bay. If you look there, I've kind of spat on the engine bay. I did mean to mask it off, to be honest, and I got lazy. But I'm not really bothered, because there's going to be a lot of prep in the engine bay. The engine bay is also going to be sprayed championship white, but it's going to be high build primered. So there's going to be a lot of high build primer in there. It's all going to get rubbed down, and it's going to be base coat lacquer, or however we decide to do it. But we're going to be building up the engine bay, so it's not stone chip. So yeah, you guys can let me know if you would do anything different, or what your experiences are in this kind of work. And in the next episode, I'm hoping we can flip it back round and get the interior back in. We're going to be rebuilding the engine. Wait, before we go, something I want to do together. We can start putting some stuff off the list. I think there's some to go on the list, to be honest, but seam seal the whole car. Oh, it's not a good pen, Michelle. Done. Epoxy prime, done, apart from the engine bay, obviously. Raptor the underside, done. Blast the engine bay, done. Prime the engine bay, no. Blast all suspension all done. Fabricating kit, fit interior refresh, engine all done. Tyres, fuel lines, brake lines, fit bumpers, fix the inner wings, done. And the hoover the blast dust is done. So there's a few things coming off, although my pen's not good enough to show it. But in the next episode, I'm hoping we can get the interior in and start building the car now, which should come together relatively quickly, I really hope. So don't miss it. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, you want to see the next steps, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. It really helps the channel grow, and we really appreciate all the new people following the channel and all the kind words we get in the comment section below. And we will see you on the next one. Thanks so much for watching this video.